Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another scoreboard for TBR Quest. We've got a full house tonight. Everyone's here.
Yes,
Woohoo!
they're showing up.
We are showing up. It's because it's getting tense now.
Oh, yeah.
Down to the wire.
It's fun to watch the competition start to sizzle up a little bit. Because we've got... Are you shaking your head no?
Oh, it's getting good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was my overall sensation because, Madison's team, you can't be in the lead the whole time. You can't do it.
They're getting a bit cocky.
A little bit.
There are some celebrations happening, and I'm like, y'all, I love you. I love your enthusiasm. I'm all about the law of attraction. So I'm like, yes, speak it into existence. But also, like, you got to humble yourself a little. So I always get so nervous at these scoreboards because I'm just certain we're going to nail it. And then I'm always like, but what if we don't?
The whole pride goeth before the fall thing.
Yeah, not me, no.
Well, and I like it when there's a lead change somewhere midstream because it kind of keeps everybody on their toes. So I've got my fingers crossed, like.
You never know. Even though these scores are coming out today, you don't know what's going to happen next week.
I know.
Next week might be when everyone decides to finally put their books in.
And I have a couple people that started like 1,000-page books this week, and I'm like, that's cool, you guys. That's a cool choice.
Well, by the way, Brian Bell is reading Wandering In.
I was like, why are you reading that 13 million word?
For this thing.
He's just doing the first installment, I guess, but it's still incredibly long. But hey, I mean, as long as you're enjoying it, you just read your little heart out. But if we're getting close to the limit and he's like 30% on Wandering In, I'm going to shoot him a novella and be like, read this.
Right now.
Read this.
Brian, you're awesome. Read this pamphlet.
Yeah.
All is good and holy. Read this.
We got some fighting words.
Oh, Zen.
What would we do without you?
He's yet to be wrong.
It's true. It's true.
We got some hellos. Hello.
Hey, girl. Hey,
Fighting
guys.
words. It is indeed. Yes. Oh, hello. And then you're lucky I can't use I want to fight about it gift here.
He does love his aggressive gifts.
Right.
Just count number of pages. If not done with your last book.
One of the things that I wanted to ask you guys about, because there have been a couple of funny comments coming out. So how has your team book worked out for you so far? Because some of you took some risks about what you were going to do. Is it like smooth sailing, or is it like, oh no?
I think I've got positive reviews for mine. Very lucky as well that Mark's agreed to do an interview with me tomorrow. So just shameless self-promo, guys. If you're free tomorrow, 6 p.m. BST. So what's that for most of you? 2 p.m.?
2 p.m.
On my channel, I'll be interviewing Mark Howard. So come and have a chat.
Nice.
Otherwise, it seems positive. I think it helps that we had an audiobook. And again, Mark was very gracious and gave us codes that people could use. So I think that's also helped people to experience the book and not just have to read it if that is not your chosen way to read.
Got it. How about you, Joseph?
Yeah, when everyone first learned of who it was, and some of them didn't know that it was actually Chaz's book. They're like,
right.
That's who, So I figure, and I already have a handful of people who have finished all 6, so I know that they've finished the book, and it's a shorter book too. So I think I'm going to get together towards the end with everybody who actually completed it, and maybe we'll get a talk together about it or something.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
What way have you found is the most interesting way to discuss books with other people? That's a long question, but it's like, is it better to do a read along where you guys are all discussing it as you go? Is it better if you like break it down into chapters and go, okay, we're going to cover 1 through 6 and then we'll talk about that? Or is it like just getting together after everybody's read the book or midway through the book and talking about it face to face? What's the most enjoyable way you've ever done that?
after the book for me.
Yeah.
like
That's
a blend.
that's how I always do it.
Yeah. I like a blend of both. Like I like to have a channel open where like as I'm reading something, I can be like, oh, this was so good. And kind of but like of course spoiler market, put what chapter it is. Because I find that when I kind of like being one of the last ones to read because then I can go back through the chat and be like, okay, chapter 26 was bonkers. I bet a bunch of people had stuff to say. I go back and read all the spoiler mark stuff. So I like having a chat, but I like to have a voice chat, like a video call or a Zoom call or something afterwards, because I'm a very verbal processor and I need to talk about it. So I
Right.
really like to have that end cap, but I also, I mean, because there's good quotes that I want to share that I'll forget about in a month. And so I like to have a written chat room too.
That
Got
makes
it.
sense. I mean, I prefer afterwards only because I am probably rather unreliable when it comes to splitting up a book into chapters and be like, we're going to read this many on this week, and I'm like, no, I
I
can't
can't do it like that.
do it.
I've tried. Because
Me too.
we've I mean I've been doing this for years now, so we've tried it every which way. We've tried it to like where we had um a channel on a Discord server and then had threads for like chapter clusters, you know, like 1 through 3 and 4
Oh,
through,
okay.
and it was just too much to manage. It was too much
Complex.
to keep track of. And then we've done it also where it's like, okay, we're going to read the first, you know, quarter in this week, the second quarter, but I don't like dragging books out that long. So some people really like that where they're like, I'm going to read this book all month and we're going to chat about it as we go in increments. But my brain just likes to kind of binge stuff typically.
Yeah.
But there's lots of ways to do it.
Yeah, I set up whenever we do book discussions. I know for a long time I try to do at least one a month, but yeah, I always try to make myself like I read it like I finish it 3 days or 2 days before the discussion, so it's still really fresh.
I try to do that, but then sometimes it does bite me in the butt because I'm like, I'm gonna start it later so that it's freshest, and then it gets to like the day before, and I'm like, oh, shit.
Right.
Well, that covers 2 of the team books. Madison, how'd yours work out?
So we haven't had the best response to the book I chose, and it's kind of a tough. First of all, like if I recall how the conversation went, I think the team book was my idea, but now I'm seeing some flaws in the thought process.
But it's a
Because
great
I
idea.
wanted to pick a book. It's hard because you got to pick a book that is page count wise something that's accessible to everybody. Actual accessible wise, you need to make sure it's at least cheap on Kindle, free on Kindle Unlimited, easy access to the audiobook, so that no matter what style you like, you know, we're accommodating everybody. And I wanted to pick something that most everybody wouldn't have read, so that I wasn't like, you can get points for this, and then half my team's like, bro, I've already read that.
Yeah.
So I think what I would do differently next time is probably vet the book myself first and just kind of opt out on those points, read it first to make sure that I feel like it's going to be a crowd pleaser, because it's hard to pick something that really is a crowd pleaser when it comes to books, because we all like so much different stuff. But for the most part, I've had probably, I think 7 or 8 people finish my team book so far, and we're getting a lot of 3-star feedback, a lot of, I'm glad I read it, but it wasn't quite my favorite. I don't think anybody hate read it or severely disliked it, but it just wasn't really what most of us were looking for. So unfortunately, a little bit disappointed with that. But I mean, you don't know till you know, I guess.
That's true.
Yeah, well, it's so funny. Like I don't do star ratings or anything like that. Mainly because I'm an author myself, and I feel like I don't want to like.
Right?
I'm not a super critiquer, so I don't want to be like, oh yeah, it was a 4.1 star, and then they're like, what, you know? But whenever I hear someone say like 3 stars, and they're like, yeah, it's bad feedback, I'm like, to me, 3 stars, I enjoyed it. I'm not mad that I read it.
Yeah. And it wouldn't be a problem if, I don't know, Goodreads is just so, like, for myself, like, I understand what you're saying. A 3-star review should not be a bad review. But if I look on Goodreads and something has a bunch of reviews and it averages out around 3.5 or something.
It feels bad in the book community, right?
Right.
It's weird. I don't feel that way on any other type of product, because like those are what I go to when I buy products. I was like, give me a 3-star review. It'll give me the
seriously
good
do that too?
Exactly.
Brother, high five.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go straight to the 3 stars, and then I'm like, okay, can I live with the downside? That's
Yeah.
Sure.
So, but when you do see a book and it's all 3-star, you're like,
Well, and I
know.
think it's just like we as readers, you're constantly searching for your next 5-star book.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
searching. I mean, that is the elusive call of reading, is like you want to re-experience something that made you feel
Super
a certain
high,
way.
yeah.
Those
Where is it?
mountaintop
I
books.
know it's out there.
And you fully understand that you're going to read, maybe if you're lucky, 2 or 3 of those a year.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I hope I read a lot of really good 4-star books. So then it starts to feel disappointing when you read something that's just kind of like medium, pretty good. It was
Yeah.
okay. And that's spoiled. We need to stop doing that.
I agree with Melissa down there. That's what I used to review movies. Like by the time I was 21, I've seen over 3,000 movies. And I always did like the A through F. That's kind of how I felt about it. Because it's weird. If you see a C+ or a B-, you're like, on a movie, you're like, okay, it could be a quirky movie, but has good parts in it. You see it like a C+ book and you're like, I don't know.
If I saw a C+ on a math test, I'd be like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
God, nailed it. So maybe we
Touchdown.
should have more grace with the 3-star reviews. So
Yes.
all that to say, there were parts of it that I thought were really enjoyable, parts that were super clever. There were high points that I thought like this guy knows what he's doing. He's going somewhere with this. And then there were parts that just like style wise just wasn't really my favorite. So you win some, you lose some.
You win some, you lose some. Well, we can only hope that maybe that book is slowing down your team points a little bit. Maybe there are not enough people that are going to get over the 6 mark. I don't know. We're just praying for, called on account of rain at this point. What is the best bookish event you've ever been a part of? Is it like a read along on a single book, or was it like a get together type of thing? Was there a big rah-rah that went on?
Like a multiple people thing, not just 2 people?
Yeah, like a bookish event. Yeah.
Not an interview. Probably my Dresden discussions. Like, because that went on for a year, and it evolved over time. We started with like AP, Philip, Sarah, myself, Chaz. We had we had so many people, and then we had people jump in. Joe jumped in a little bit later, and yeah, it was just a great time.
Nice.
I think the best thing that I get involved in as much as I can, but I think the thing that really sticks in my mind is Stephen and Ryan did a meetup in Birmingham in the UK, funnily enough, which isn't far from where I live. And I went to that, and it was for when he released The Coward, which was the sequel to one of the series that he wrote. And it was a really small event. It was in this really quirky like coffee bar that we have in Birmingham, and it was just really nice to actually get one-on-one time with him and talk to him. And I spoke to his publicist at Angry Robot, and met Matt from Broken Binding as well. Like, just having that kind of more intimate meeting, so you can actually converse with people and ask them questions about what they do and how they do it. I really enjoyed that. Like, the idea of going to WorldCon or DragonCon or something like that is amazing, and I do want to go, but it also terrifies me because there's so many people.
Have you seen Gareth Harahan in any of the bookstores in your local area? Because he's the store. He wrote the Sword Defiant and a bunch of D&D stuff. I know he goes to all. He lives over there, and he says he goes to all like bookstores and all the events over there.
Amazing!
Yeah, I got to interview him. He's a super nice guy.
But I am very terrible with faces. So unless I've actually had like a actual interaction with you, if I just see you on social media, I'm not very good at picking people out of a crowd.
How about you, Madison?
Man, it's hard to pick. Okay, because I mean, really, I have been a part of a couple of these readathons that were really memorable. We've done some read-alongs on Discord that were just epic, like really so fun. But I think I'm gonna say last year I got to go to this the first time they did it. I'm hoping it's becoming like a semi-annual thing because they didn't do it this year. But I went to HowlerCon and got to hang out with a bunch of crazy Pierce Brown fans for a couple of hours. It was in Tulsa, which is like, less than an hour from me.
Hmm.
And it was at a concert venue that I've been to lots of concerts at, and they sold it out. It was completely sold out. Hail Reaper. And it was, guys, they had, first of all, there's a rock band out of Springfield, Missouri that has an entire Red Rising themed band. And it's
Oh
not
my
as
God.
cheesy as it sounds. Like, it's just regular music, but it has the themes
Mm.
of the caste system and the oppression, the political undertones, okay? So this band played for like half an hour and it was awesome. And Pierce Brown was drinking so much beer. He was like drunk out of his mind, but not like not embarrassing a way, but like he was let loose having fun.
Mm.
We got our books signed. There was so much merch. He did a long question and answer session, couches and a professional interviewer. And then they had probably, I don't know, 65 cosplayers there, and they had a big costume competition. And some of these costumes, you guys, these people went like above and beyond. And it was just so cool to be surrounded by this many people that love the same series. It was awesome. Like, I went in like obviously a big fan, and I left like a super fan, because a shared experience, it's like going to
Yeah.
a concert of a band that
Yeah.
you like a lot, and you
Yeah.
leave and you love them. Not
Yeah.
not only because they were better than you thought they were going to be, they exceeded your expectations, but because the shared experience you had with all those other fans just
Mhm.
made it seem so much more special. So it's like going to a big concert for your favorite band, but instead it was like Pierce Brown. And guys, I know everyone knows he's attractive, but he is so hot in person. I was like, oh my God. So he is hot. It was awesome. Also, it was like weeks before my mom passed away. And it was like a chance for me to step outside of this like little bubble I'd been living in, and like
Mhm.
remember that there's like fun things to do, and there's a world out there, and there's people. And it was cool to kind of just anonymously slip into the crowd and just like be a person. Although I had one person recognize me from my videos, which is very weird.
Oh,
Like,
I've
what?
only had that happen once.
Yeah,
It
they were
was
like, they knew who I was, and I was like, I was expecting to be anonymous right now, but yes, that is me.
You feel all
yeah.
famous.
I was there was the last time we flew out to Denver. We were getting on the plane, and he's like, "Are you an author?" And I was like, I'm like, yeah. Well, I was like, am I in trouble? What's going on? Like, they're like, no, you write the human books, the more than human books, right? I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? My wife was like holding my back, like as we were going to the plane. She's like, are you okay? Oh, is it cool? Oh yeah. I'm just like, don't heart rate. What? Are you serious?
That's it. You've made it. That's what it is.
That's funny. That's
Not quite. Yeah.
But still, like, there's somebody out there in the Denver airport who thinks you're
Well,
cool.
and that's all.
They're
Like,
still in the airport.
do you,
You're still there.
do you guys know Steve from Steve Talks Books, or have you ever
Yeah.
watched his stuff?
Mm.
Well, he does mostly podcasts now, but like we when I first caught on, I was on his channel a bunch, and we became friends. And his son, like, he messaged me. He's like, hey, it's my son's birthday. He's like, he really likes your stuff because you like you like comics and stuff too. And so I sent him like a bunch of posters and all kinds of stickers and stuff that I have. And I was like, that's all. That's everything, man. Like,
Yeah.
if somebody was just like, I like your stuff, I think you're cool, like that's what we do it for. At least that's what I do it for.
Yeah,
It's just
no,
like,
for real. It's
as
nice to
long
have a
as
little
you
bit
enjoyed it.
of positive feedback sometimes.
Yeah.
I just want to make people happy. That's all it's about.
Exactly. And just chatting about books.
Well, I think we could all make Pierce Brown happy by sending him a note telling him how good looking he is.
He already knows. You don't get to be
I've
that
never
cute
thought-
and not realize it.
I never even thought of a book having like a group of people get together in a large venue to sell. I mean, he's very good looking, but like,
No, it was awesome. It was like a con, but they just expected it to be. So basically, there's a company called Lit Escalates that like they do all of his merch and like all kind of fandom stuff. And they do all of his illustrations. Anyway, the person from Escalates lives in Tulsa. So Pierce was coming to do like a big, like pre-record some interviews and social media stuff, and because they run all the social media also. And they're like, what if we had like a thing, and like people who read your books in the area, like local fans could come to have their book signed, like a meet and greet. And he's like, bet, let's do it. And then just like there was 100 tickets, then there was 200 tickets, then there was 500 tickets, then there was 800 tickets, and like, so I'm like, I'll be shocked if they don't do it again. I really hope so, because it was awesome.
Yeah, I did a whole video about like why there aren't like rock star authors. Like, why, like, because I mean, like, think of like what every couple years you'll have a huge hit. You'll have like a Fourth Wing or the house. I just read The House in the Cerulean Sea. That sells out of nowhere, sells multiple million copies. But I guarantee you, unless it's in her hometown, like barely anybody would ever recognize the author.
They're not household names unless you're Stephen King.
King, J.K. Rowling, and then maybe George R.R. Martin. But
and
that's
in our world, Brandon Sanderson, I think, is a celebrity artist.
If he's in the right spot.
In the fantasy realm. But otherwise, there's not really household names.
Like if Sanderson showed up at a Barnes and Noble, he'd get recognized there. But
because he's in the
I'm like, why is that? Is it because we like Pierce Brown's putting himself out there more? Like authors seem to be more reserved for the most part. Maybe that's a reason.
Part of me thinks it's because they stopped putting authors on late night talk shows because they're boring. Because in the 80s they would have on authors all the time, and then little by little you saw them get weeded out because they were
going away.
They're always like, well, tweet is nice. Okay, great.
And they're like, I've been working on this for 7 years. I'm grouchy. Okay,
I'm grouchy and mean, and I don't want to be here.
He's like, the publisher told me I had to be here today, or they fired me.
Right.
And I want more author tours. Like I want, and I feel like COVID like tanked that to a point, but I really like, how do I find this information out? I want to, there needs to be an app. It's just like put in all the authors you like, and we'll tell you if they're appearing publicly. There's authors I would drive. Like, there's authors I would definitely drive to go to an appearance for them for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe even fly. Who knows?
Actually, that's a pretty decent question that I was thinking about earlier for you guys. In this realm and doing what you do and being involved in books and being involved in the bookish community, do you have one like pinnacle author that you would love to interview, living or dead? But
Robin Hobb.
No surprise.
No. We have a lot to talk about. We do.
I mean, my wife said it's all downhill from now since I got the Jim Butcher interview.
That's true.
But I would love to get Sapkowski on and to talk about the Witcher and how he goes about picking up monsters, because we're very similar in the types of like lore. We like to find little insignificant like things and bring them to the light, and then they become popular.
Well, it would be a very interesting perspective to really talk to him about, like, you've had success with your books, your story has had success as a video game and as a television adaptation. Like, how are they different? Like, what are how are the fandoms different? Because they're all like kind of almost like famous in their own right. Like, they have different fandoms. I almost feel like, of course, there's crossover, but like they each did their own thing before there was all three. So
and he's. I think he said by the end of the year, he's going to finish the next book. And I don't know if it's going to be another side story book, which will still be great. I'll love that. But if it's a sequel,
love those the most.
If it's a sequel, it's going to be one of the biggest books releases in the last 10 years. I mean, it's going to be huge because you're going to have all the television people that they're going to be like, oh, a new one? Oh,
I better catch up. Yeah, better read them.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I mean, for me, I've recently had the pleasure of interviewing R.R. Verdi with my friend Lisa on her channel, and I would say him. But if I had to pick someone I haven't spoken to, I would say Jen Lyons from the Ruin of Kings series, because I just want to understand how she keeps all of that information in her head. Because that series, if you've not read it, me and my friend, we joke about her having a murder board and having like this massive board with strings and all sorts, because everyone's like interconnected, and then there's a lot of coming back from the dead, and like how do you just keep track of all of that? Because I was lost reading it.
You just kill them. That's how you keep track of it. If they're dead, they're dead. Don't
they're not in that series. Not in that series. They die and they come back. There's a lot of reincarnation, and
that's
then it's
that's Malazan right there.
You rely
Nobody's
on
ever
your
dead in
team of test
Malazan.
readers.
But yeah, I'd be interested to find out like her writing process for that, and just how she thought all that through.
I love that. I love how the technical aspect of it is one of the interesting things for you. And R.R. Verdi's a sweetheart, so
he was so lovely, and he's so knowledgeable as well, which I expected because of his book. But the fact that he was the longest interview I've ever been on. We spoke for like 2 hours, and at about an hour and 45, I messaged Lisa and I was like, I think we should start winding this down. Like I'd love to carry on talking, but it's already been almost 2 hours. I'm sure he's got his life to lead, and I'm sure people have got their life to lead, so just have to talk to him again. But yeah, just all of his knowledge and how he does his research to write his books and where it all comes from. It was just really fascinating.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm sure AR has as well, but that's what I'm starting to run into. I just finished the last chapter of book 5. I'm just gotta do an epilogue, and I'm out of here. But it's like, yeah, I have to go word search, back in my manuscripts and be like, okay, this is it's exactly how they look, because I described them. Now I have to make sure that it's
not changing their hair color. Suddenly they're blonde.
Yeah, it's like
Make sure you have a team of readers who can be like, don't you remember that you said this in the last book and now it doesn't make sense because of this?
Her eyes were emerald green, not Lincoln green.
So do you guys keep like, would it be beta readers or alpha readers for the first draft? Or your first group of readers? Like, do you guys have readers that kind of proofread for you and go, that doesn't mean what you think it means, or like this character would never say that.
Yeah, I have a beta reader who is just awesome, and she'll do like edits, and like she just enjoys it. She just like
your wife.
No, my wife doesn't really read anything until I'm done. Like, I don't know. She's like, I don't want to know anything about it. Just But yeah, I got a handful of beta readers. Yeah, I have one alpha reader, and so just to make sure that it's not out of balance, like anything crazy.
Right. Yeah, for me, it's a developmental edit first off the bat, because my second draft is a steaming pile. And so I need to pay somebody to read that. And they go good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. I don't understand this, whatever. Then you do another draft and you give it to the alpha readers. You finish that draft, you give it to one or two beta readers. Then it goes out for the line edit, which is where they're looking at all the details of, what's her hair color and is this spelled correctly throughout, X, Y, and Z. And then you do one more draft, and then you do give that to the proofreader, and then off it goes. But you can't. It's a community event, because none of us are responsible for all of this by ourselves, right? You've got to have if you just try to do this all by yourself and from beginning to end, soup to nuts, concept to proofread, it's be like, this will suck.
Yeah, because you're going to be blind.
I've never heard that.
Your own mistakes.
Question: what does soup to nuts mean? I've never heard that before.
You never heard that?
No.
Oh, yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, soup to nuts means from here to there in the beginning and everything in between. It means,
with the context I gathered, but where did that come from?
Well, it's an English idiom that is derived from a full course dinner. Soup to nuts could refer to the dinner beginning with soup, and then at the end of the dinner, instead of dessert, they would serve nuts. And so that was soup to nuts. It's the entire meal.
Okay.
I didn't even know that, and I am English.
I'm going to use that in a sentence this week.
Yeah, those type of things get me too, because as soon as I hear one and I'm not 100% on it, I'm like, I have to look at where that came from. And why that's, the whole thing about gremlins, I didn't know that was like a modern thing. I thought gremlins have been around forever. It's the British Air Force invented that, gremlins in the engine. Yeah, and I'm like,
Because
like,
until there are machines, there cannot be gremlins, because gremlins are specific to machines.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Rekindled reader saying soupy nuts. No.
Come again?
All right.
Yeah, Theo knows where my mind went. All right, let's do scoreboard.
Because everybody's looking forward to the Friday. I got a date, so I'm looking forward to that.
Nice.
So let's see. Let's start with Madison, since you've had the lead 2 weeks in a row.
Dun, dun,
I feel like I
dun.
should
Would
go
you like to set that bar for us?
Yes. Okay. So I had to do a little bit of math, combing through my, my spreadsheet, because we've had a couple people go over their 6 possible books. So I've been picking out the ones that are just like high five, props to you. That's super cool. Misa has read all 10. Like, that's incredible to me. Very cool. So we had 97 books total, not since last week. 97 submitted for points. No, that's not true. I'm sorry. I'm reading the wrong line. We've had 92. 92. This is very chicken scratchy. 92 books. And we are no longer missing any reviews.
Oh, that's so good.
We are at 184 points.
Whoa.
For 92 books.
Moses.
And I want to give a shout out. Travis finished Way of Kings this week for 1,007 pages.
Wow.
And Theo is currently reading The Way of Kings. So, like, these guys are going straight for these big, beefy classics. I mean, I would consider The Way of Kings a modern classic. I'm just excited. These people have never read it. First timers. That's cool. And then Medic, our friend Joey, he read Assassin's Fate, which is one of my favorite books, and it's so emotional. So if you see him, out there, give him a hug. Another fat boy, though. That's an 850-page book. So we're reading some chonkers and still really putting in the numbers. So go Team Crystal Ballers.
Okay, let's see. Let's see if we can get there. Okay, Joseph, what do you got for the Monstars?
We are at 72 books. And I think we have, only one of them doesn't have a review on it. So
nice.
What's that? That puts us at 140,
143.
Well, yeah, 142,
144 minus 1.
Yeah. So 143.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we got a 40-point differential.
Mm-hmm.
Only
20 books. We could have some sandbaggers here. I'm not going to say whether we do or not.
You can produce an extra 20 books easily before the end of next week. Chelsea, what do you got?
So we have had 98 responses in total at the minute. We are missing some reviews, but drum roll, please. In total, we have got 170 points.
Oh, that's so close.
Because some of my team are bonkers and they read so much, but we have got so many people now who are starting to cross over that threshold of 5 and 6 books. So I need to catch up.
Oh my gosh. It is close. 184, 170, and 143. But this means that once again,
Crystal
Ballers are killing it. Congratulations, Madison.
Thank you.
Now, if you could all just stop reading for the final week.
Poison. That's our solution now.
If you could all find a really good TV show or game.
Yeah. Now that I finished my last chapter, I can breathe and knock out my last 2 books. So I'll be putting up some more.
I have a couple more to submit as well.
I've got 3 left to read, one of which I will be, I have to complete this weekend because I'm doing a chat for it on Monday, and then 2 more left, which I am working on.
Nice. Mine this week was written by somebody who's in this chat, so that was a lot of fun.
Me.
And it was cool because there was a lot of like mythology is awesome, but taking all of it together and like turning it into a soup where all of these things are true was a pile of fun. So, okay. So Crystal Ball, and thank you very much for putting that book together. I enjoyed it. So the Crystal Ballers are in first place with 184. Crusaders are in second place with 170. And the Monstars in third with 143. We have 1 week left.
It's not even a full week, technically.
Right? We are ticking down to the end. So everybody watching, it will be midnight on Saturday, midnight Eastern Standard Time on Saturday the 31st. We will try and do a scoreboard before then, but that will be the final deadline to get everything in.
Countdown.
Nailed it.
All right. Well, that should do it for us. Everybody go out and have a fantastic weekend.
Have a good day.
See you in a bit. And read more.
Yes.